All right, welcome back to another quick tip today. I have a treat for you. We have an announcement that has come out at Microsoft Fabric Conference, and we are going to be diving in a little bit with the Microsoft product team. I'd like to introduce with you Bala and Justyna from the Microsoft team. Hello and welcome. We're talking about Materialized Views. We're just announced at the Fabric Conference. I am incredibly excited about this one, and I've been very vocal on the podcast for many, many months now. Justyna is aware. She's been saying, Mike, be patient, pay attention. It's coming. I really have wanted the ability to be able to sequence multiple tables and building things together, and this Materialized View experience looks like it fits a lot of the needs I need for bronze through gold orchestration, auto DAGs being built. This looks amazing. I'm very excited to talk about this feature today. What do we say we start off? Just give us a quick overview, Justyna. Maybe what's the feature? Where did this come from? Bala, maybe some other details here around what is a materialized view for our audience who doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, everyone. I'm Justyna. Thank you so much, Mike, for having me and Balaji on the channel. Really excited to be here. So yes, we just had a great announcement at the Fabric Conference. We showed a little bit of a sneak peek at the keynote of the Materialized Views. And this is essentially, a capability that really helps you, kind of as you were saying, Mike, really streamlines the building of that end-to-end medallion architecture going all the way from bronze to gold. You might be familiar with Materialized Views and, things like warehouses, other capabilities, and we're really excited to bring that to Spark and the Lakehouse, right? So essentially being able to have these pre-computed views and, a ton of goodness comes with them as we're going to dive deeper into essentially, the demo, right, where you can go and set up constraints on top of them. You can essentially be able to just really manage them super easily through that kind of visual declarative view automatically, being able to see how the quality is doing, and being able to leverage them across the entire Fabric stack, right? So everything from Spark to consuming them in SQL, consuming them in Power BI. So yeah, really excited about the capability. And, big shout out to Balaji and team. They've been actively working on the capability. I'm lucky to be the spokesperson for some of this, but, they've been doing kind of all the hard work of actually building out all these capabilities into Fabric.
Well, Balaji, I got to say thank you very much. This is, I don't know how much you know about how complaining I've been about this one. I do thank you very much for your team working so hard on this one. This has been a feature that I have needed for a while. I do a lot of Lakehouse work. I do a lot of bronze, silver, just table building, right? Cleaning data, moving data through the ecosystem. And I think this is going to simplify my pipelines because I do probably an egregious amount of notebook usage in pipelines today. And I believe this potentially will solve some of my orchestration issues that I have inside the notebook experience. Awesome. With that, well, I think we've got a demo, I believe, right?
Yep. Go ahead.
All right. So we'll go ahead and run the demo here, and we'll kind of pause as we go along. So this is going to be a kind of React video as well. So there's a couple key things I think we should kind of pause throughout the video. We'll hit those, and we'll jump right in. Here's our Materialized Views.
In this scenario, I'm building out a medallion architecture, and I have already landed my bronze data in one lake. To prepare my silver and gold layers, I'm going to jump into a notebook. As a first step, I'm going to create a silver layer schema that's going to contain my materialized views transforming my bronze data. I can use our newly extended Spark SQL syntax to define my views. And one really powerful capability of materialized views is the ability to define data quality rules. So in this case, I'm going to state that there should be no nulls in the sales quantity column, and I would like to drop any rows that don't satisfy this constraint. I'm going to continue on defining the rest of my transformation logic, which is joining data across my bronze tables.
All right, I'll quickly pause it right here. This is something that's kind of unique to this experience here. What are constraints doing?
Balaji, do you want to jump in and take that?
Yeah. Maybe we lost audio there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure he'll connect right back. So, so basically,
we lost your audio.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I can hear you now. Yeah, go ahead.
So this is one of the coolest parts of the materialized views, right? Like Mike was saying, you just write a single line of code, putting the constraints, and then all the magic happens behind the scenes automatically, right? So
Yes.
so typically when like I kind of hear you when you say, Mike, right? Every data engineer has this problem that they have to bring up this whole end-to-end transformation, and at the
Yes.
same time kind of take care of this, right? So we're starting with some filter conditions here, as you can see, like, hey, if a row meets this condition, either drop it or report the error and move on. But we're going to add some fantastic new things as we go along, where we're going to look across multiple rows and kind of put many of those real world constraints into play. So this is one of the cool parts of materialized views as well. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, like, what's this, like the scope of things that we can do in here, right? So inside the check area, right? It's actually doing is this a row by row check as well? So like this is basically saying for each row in the table, making sure that the quantity column, that value is not equal to 0. So the assumption here is we're going to get this data in, it won't equal to 0. And then you said there's multiple options. So you said on look at the code here, it's if there's a mismatch, then drop the record. And so that means it wouldn't fail the pipeline. It just doesn't let that record come through to the next level. Is that kind of how I read this?
Yeah, absolutely, right. So in some scenarios, where you're more interested in bulk processing of the data, and it's like every single row is not important. Like, for example, if you're building a feature on machine learning, for example, not every single row is important, right? So you might as well drop the outliers and move forward. So in that scenario, you would do exactly what you just said, right? But whereas in other thing where you're doing financial reporting and stuff like that, you don't want the whole thing to run forward if you find some missing rows or some constraints being violated. There you would just fail the job and say, hey, we couldn't move forward because this constraint got hit, right? So both scenarios are valid, and in the first version, we're going to support both. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Good. Because that's the other question too, is like, if we find a problem, I just want to stop the job and say, look, don't do it. I don't want to inject bad data further downstream. So as my personal preference of this one, I find that constraints, I don't usually apply anything in the bronze layer, but silver tables, that's where I start applying some maybe lightweight constraints. And then maybe I even get more rigid when I go to gold and I build star schemas for my semantic models, because then I have the ability to like really clean the data and make sure that we don't get any bad records into our jobs. Awesome. Yeah. All right, let's keep it going with the demo.
I would also just add really quickly here, for those who are watching, please, add in the comments what sort of constraints you would like to be able to set up, right? Like we've gotten a bunch of feedback of, hey, just write it to a temp table, right? So I want to be able to keep running the job, but I want to see all the records. So that's something Balaji and the team we're considering adding later on. But if there's other things you'd like, please let us know as well.
That's an interesting concept. I mean, to be honest, I haven't used a quarantine table, more or less, but that's really helpful because when something does fail, you have to go back and dig through all the data to find what the problem actually was. But having that quarantine table would be a very useful feature. So I'd like that if you're going to build something like that. So
no
great
promises
idea.
on timelines or anything.
No promises. No promises.
We want to get all the ideas. We want to get the feedback.
We don't even have this feature yet. Let's get the first feature out, and then we'll talk about new ideas. Love it.
Now, let me fast forward a bit. And you can see I've created a pretty complex notebook that defines many materialized views that depend on existing table, as well as other views defined in this notebook. To save time, I've already ran this notebook, and now I want to take a look at how things are progressing. So let's jump into our management portal for materialized views. Here I can see the whole dependency graph of materialized views that has been automatically generated.
Okay, I got to pause right here. I'm just so excited. When you said this one, this is where I started hooping and hollering, and everyone around me was like, what are you talking about, Michael, at the conference? I'm like, this is what I've always wanted. This is amazing. And it's auto-generated. You're not wiring these tables together. Just the SQL statements alone, like because you had one table relying upon a second table, relying upon a third table, you just figure it out. You just figure out that the tables have dependencies, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to Ree after demo, right, who runs the whole community and our MVPs, and she was saying, hey, she was watching the demo and she was kind of seeing the complex notebook, and she was like, yeah, but who's going to manage all of that, And then we got to this screen where we kind of see everything, and it's been auto-generated. She's like, oh, okay, that's pretty nice, right?
Yes. Yes. is huge, and I'm very excited about this. So thank you very much for adding this feature coming with this this part of the experience here. Very, very excited to see this one as well. And we'll maybe go through this a bit more. I don't really understand exactly in this view. Like, so this is, you know, a sequence of tables that are potentially running. I guess my question here would be is how do you make it go? And one of the things that wasn't very clear in the demo is like, do you have to press the play button for it to run? Like I see there on the screenshot here, you have a schedule button at the top. So I'm assuming there's the ability to somewhat schedule things. But how do you envision this integrating with the other stuff that I do inside Fabric as well?
Yeah, so happy to jump in, and then Balaji, please, you know, add details as well. So
Yeah.
for the first release, you know, we're gonna start with for these jobs to essentially be scheduled.
Okay.
And the reason we started that is because that's the feedback we received from, well, all of you, right?
Sure.
Is, hey, you know, as a starting point, I don't necessarily want this to be always running there like in real time. Just let me
Yes.
run this like maybe kind of like a micro, like every, you know, 15 minutes or every half hour, or even every couple of hours, right? Depending on how
Sure.
frequently you need this data to be updated.
Sure.
And then you can kind of see like in that little, you know, top left-hand corner, you can see the drop down of all the scheduled runs. You can kind of go back and see, you know, how things kind of looked.
Okay.
Now, going forward, and if without, there will be no dates promised here anywhere, but, you know,
No timelines. No timelines.
You know, later on, we'll definitely also want to have an event-based option where you can basically just say, hey, as new, you know, data lands and just auto run this. So I don't have to worry. I can just manage. And, you know, you can, I got a lot of questions at the conference of like, hey, I want to do like mirroring plus these materialized views, right? So the dream would be, you know, I'm kind of getting my data in for bronze with, let's say, mirroring, and then this is just all auto running, and it's kind of getting me at my end-to-end complete, right, kind of data transformation pipeline. And, you know, that I think would be a really good use case for that. And yeah, in terms of the scheduler, the last thing I'd add is this is basically going to be built into like your Lakehouse scheduler, right? So just like you'd have like a notebook scheduler, you'd have a Lakehouse scheduler where you could schedule your materialized views. And yeah, Balaji, feel free to jump in as well.
Yeah, Balaji, would there be is there an opportunity here to like kick this off? So I do a lot of work where I do like a copy activity from like a pipeline that like brings me that, I think to your point, just, you know, like that bronze table. But Balaji, would there be a vision here to like, you know, when I'm done copying the data into bronze, kicking this off from like the pipeline? Is that also an opportunity or is that in this release one, or is that kind of coming a bit later?
That's coming a little later. So here, what you can do is like in your scenario, like what Justyna said, you could determine saying for this particular, you know, lakehouse and materialized view, what is the optimum schedule? Say something runs nightly, or something runs hourly, or something runs fairly frequently every 15 minutes, and schedule it, and you set it go, and then it'll run by itself, and it'll keep, you know, accumulating all the information on the runs, right? So that's all you can do. But what you're saying is absolutely in the plan, and you know, teams are working on it. Yeah.
Okay, good. My only feedback there is everything I do nowadays seems to have or needs some sort of API somewhere. So I know you're thinking probably like, you know, someone may run a pipeline job. I would love to have an activity inside pipelines, or if nothing else, if I can't get that, if there's a way I can trigger one of these with an API, that would be the short gap until I can actually get the ability to do it inside a pipeline. Because I know there's another team would have to like build the activity and get it into the pipeline thing. So that might not be easy day one kind of thing. But you know, from my perspective, either those two options are just awesome. And I have the chat here. So Donald, who's in our chat right now, is saying really excited about that question. Also very excited about the event-basing items as well. So yeah, this is really good. Wonderful. All right. Let's move on. Some more features.
Insight into what each view is dependent on and what its status is. In real time, I can see that our silver sales consolidated view has succeeded and turned green. And by clicking into it, I get all the relevant details, such as when things completed and how long they ran for. So as things continue to run, I see a failure has occurred at one of our steps. And here, I can very easily jump into the failed step and inspect the error message in logs, which helps a ton with debugging. In this case, it looks like one of our data quality constraints got violated and triggered a failure that we configured. And if I ever need a more consolidated view of how things are running and what sorts of issues I'm hitting, I can also navigate to the built-in data quality Power BI report, which shows me all the aggregated metrics I care about. Okay, so let's fast forward again. I've gone ahead and fixed my
I'm quick pause it right there. So this is pretty cool. I like the whole error detection, clear indicators, what part of the step failed. This is a challenge everywhere you work in any kind of data pipeline. So Bala, any other thoughts around that error detection and things that you're hearing from customers around this feature? Anything else you want to add there to the error checking or constraint checking there as you go?
Yeah, so we're having when we did start about building this feature, when we asked customers what is the one biggest pain point they had, they said, "Hey, error monitoring and reporting is the single biggest pain point, right? Monitoring." So
100%.
This ability to kind of visualize through an intuitive Power BI dashboard is a game changer for most developers, right? So they could come into the office, grab a mug of coffee, and look through all the runs, see what's working, what's not, and what to fix, right? So it gives them structured feedback, and it's not only telling them the most important areas to focus on, but like Justina's demo showed, you can drill down to the specific Spark error, and then go to the Spark history server and look through more details if you want to go get to the really the meat of it. So that's the beginning, right? But then you have a whole bunch of other things that can potentially build on top of this. Like, for example, you could integrate this with a external monitoring application that you have, where you have like you're monitoring a variety of jobs in operations and so on, right? So that's one thing that will come. And the other thing is, it's not that you're always watching this report, right? So one of the things that we've been dabbling is, hey, can we integrate this with data activator so that you could configure alerts? I have an alert, I have a problem, and then I get an alert on my Teams channel or on my phone as an SMS, so that I can type really fast, so that before my CEO's report gets impacted, I can quickly jump in and fix, right? So we've thought this through from an entire life cycle perspective, but what you see here are the building blocks to make that happen.
Can I add one more thought here onto some of this? So I love the idea, and also sending messages to team. I think it's actually underrated, honestly. I don't think enough people actually use sending messages to teams. Right now, I recently have a Git repo that my team develops on. And as we develop things, the GitHub sends little actions to my team's channel, and I have a single channel for GitHub actions. And I find it very effective. It can just kind of talk and do its things, and as things succeed, it just kind of keys up a bunch of messages that I can read later when I have the time. So I think that's an underrated feature. So I'd really love to see that one. Maybe one other idea here around. So you noticed the constraint message that came up. It was a little bit hard to read there. One thing that would be really relevant, and again, this is just maybe a question. What do you guys think about the ability to deep link, when the constraint has been handled, right? So we know where the constraint was, what table it occurred on. I don't know if there's any way you could deep link me to the notebook, to the cell where the constraint is made. So again, if I'm looking at this, I may want to go back to that SQL statement in that error message. So I don't know if you have the ability to do that, but that'd be another area, get me back to where the code is written. And that way, maybe I can go back to that code in the notebook and then do some, maybe I have some commented cells in there that I'm going to check or test or things as well. So might be another option as well. Awesome. Love it. Great feature. All right, we have a little bit more left. Let's go to the last bit of the video and we'll call it a wrap.
And I can now see all of the steps are succeeding, and my DAG has been able to run end to end. Navigating back to our lakehouse, we can see our new silver and gold schemas and all of the materialized views that got created. And the great thing is, from a customer perspective, these just look like any other Delta table. This, of course, means they're also available on the SQL endpoint and Power BI.
I need to pause here. I'm struggling with this in other tools in the industry. I'll just say that. In other tools out there, they build these kind of nice tables that automatically go through auto-built DAG. You're building SQL. It all works really well. This is huge, honestly. I can't connect to these tables very easily outside of other tools or other third-party tools. These are real Delta tables. They're in the Lakehouse. If you want to go hit them with another program, all you need to have access to is Lakehouse, essentially.
Yep. Yeah, and I think one of the most common questions I got after this demo was so will it work with direct lake mode, right? And yes, right, it will. It will work with direct lake mode. It will work with, all the engines, just like any other table that you have in the lakehouse, as you said. So yeah,
I
it
love
just
this.
kind of, I think, removes all that friction and copying of data around that you would have. So definitely really excited for the kind of ease of customer use on this one.
I would agree. I think this is this is very wise to bring it right back over. And I do like the fact that we have another thing I'll point out here just from a best practice, I feel like, is we need to build more schemas. I think people who are not using lake houses with schemas is a miss. Schemas are awesome. I absolutely love them. They're so helpful to like segment your data and it's almost like a folder in experience. But for all my SQL developers out there, I have to say it's like a database. The schema is like a database to your tables. So anyways, awesome. Wonderful feature. And I think that wraps us up. I don't think there's any more video. Yeah, I think we're done. All right. With that, let's go back to our main video here. So thank you so much for running the demo for us today. This was awesome. I really appreciate it. That was super fun. And I really enjoyed talking about this new Materialized Views. This is going to change how you build things. So we are going to watch this video, the comments at least anyway. So if you have any questions or features or things that you saw from this that you want to react to, please let us know in the comments of this video. Justyna and I will groom down the comments and we'll feed them back to the Microsoft team, make sure we can add or get feedback on other features that are here on this particular feature. You heard it here first. You've seen Materialized Views out of the video that's not actually at FabCon. Share this video to other people. Anyone who's using Spark needs to know about this feature. This is going to be huge, and I guarantee you this is going to change how you build inside notebooks, inside Fabric. This is going to change fundamentally how you build stuff. Justyna, Bala, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. Thank you for all your hard work. You're doing a great job at the Microsoft team. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.